Hello everybody, it's Mr. G, the history teacher, coming with you another Misconceptions in History. And today I want to talk about one of the coolest reconnaissance aircraft ever created, the SR-71 Blackbird. But I also want to discuss its origins, where it came from, and how we actually developed this aircraft. When we talk about the SR-71 Blackbird, we actually have to go farther back, and we got to look at the A-12, which was the CIA-funded aircraft that would eventually be basically turned into the SR-71. While each aircraft is essentially an A-12, their variants each tell their own story of development and need and necessity for what they would do. So before we get into that and we talk about why the SR-71, the A-12, is the way it is, we got to talk about why they even build such an awesome aircraft. Now, during the Cold War, the main workhorse, if you will, of the United States reconnaissance was the Lockheed U-2, also known as the Dragon Lady. Now, this was an extremely high-altitude, jet-powered aircraft that was incredibly valuable to the intelligence community, so much so that it still has service to this day. Now, in addition, it is one of a handful of aircraft to have exceeded a 50-year lifespan. However, even with the ability to fly at over 70,000 feet, it could not keep up with the advances in technology, and this would lead to one being shot down in the 1960s. Now, the U-2 incident of 1960 is what is going to spur the eventual development of more high-speed reconnaissance aircraft. So what actually happened in this incident is that the Soviet Union took one of their new SAMs and actually managed to shoot down a U-2. The pilot, Gary Powers, would actually be held by the Soviet Union for about 1 year, 9 months. And it was actually a huge debacle because the U.S. tried to deny it ever happened. The Soviet Union exposed him. This led to a trial. It was very public. The U.S. tried to paint him as one way, proved to be a different way. It was a big thing. But what it did do, this showed the United States they needed a high-speed reconnaissance aircraft. And so, of course, the CIA funded a project. They sent out bids. They started developing on multiple aircraft, and the eventual winner is what would become the A-12 as designed by Lockheed. Now, it had a ton of new revolutionary ideas, one being it was made out of titanium. The idea of creating a low-profile aircraft to reduce radar cross-section was new. In addition, there was composite materials integrated into this aircraft, and this allowed not only for new radar-absorbing properties, but also to help with the heating issues from such a fast aircraft. Now the CIA had its high-speed reconnaissance aircraft to use over the Soviet Union. However, they never actually used it over the Soviet Union. Instead, they would use it over Southeast Asia, Vietnam, China, that kind of thing. And it was only be used for about a year. And it would just be moved on to its variants. The first variant to discuss would be the YF-12, which was the first officially released version to the public. This was the one that was unveiled by President Lyndon B. Johnson in '64. It was the one that the public was aware about. It was actually supposed to be a replacement for the F-106 Delta Dart, and basically it was going to be a high-speed interceptor, and they armed it with air-to-air missiles. It was the AIM-47 Falcon missile, with the goal being it would be able to fly into an area at a high speed and intercept any incoming aircraft. But due to budgetary constraints, the project will be completely canceled. They only built 3 of these. However, its missile, the AIM-47 missile, would be enlarged and upgraded into the AIM-54 Phoenix, which would be the main weapon of the F-14 Tomcat. Now, the final variant of the A-12 to discuss would be known as the M-21. And basically, this was a drone carrier. They took an A-12, designed a drone based off the design of the A-12, and this was going to be a high-speed reconnaissance drone. This drone was known as the D-21. And basically, it was a drone that could travel at Mach 3.3, the same speed as an SR-71, the A-12, but it could go to 90,000 feet, higher than anything else known to man at the time. The idea was to take this drone, use the M21 to carry it within enemy territory, launch the high-speed drone. It could do all the reconnaissance needed. They wouldn't have to worry about losing the life of a person or anything like that. And it could invade enemy territory much faster and quicker than a human could. And it actually worked until one crashed into its carrier. This would essentially end the M21 program, and instead they would take these drones, the D-21s, and just launch them off of a B-52, so they wouldn't have to worry about the drone and the carrier aircraft colliding and causing an absolute disaster again. Now this brings us to the absolute beauty that is the SR-71 Blackbird. So the SR-71 had actually initially been built as a bomber variant of the A-12. However, the role was shifted exclusively to reconnaissance only. Because the plane had developed to be a bomber, which totally sounds cool by the way, it was actually slightly larger, could carry a heavier load, so it actually could carry more fuel, allowing it to travel farther, fly higher, faster than the previous variants. However, like the U-2, the modern era outpaced the SR-71, and even though it continued service until 1999, it just couldn't keep up with modern technology, that being drones and spy satellite technology had just exceeded what it could do. Now, of course, there are those who wonder if there's something else out there, and there is that possibility. There have been mixed reports from Lockheed Martin over an SR-72, some saying no, it's not going to happen, some saying yes, it's going to happen. Even reports that it could be pushed out as soon as 2025 with full production by 2030. Whether this happens or not, I don't know. But the legacy of this aircraft just can never be ignored. The legacy, the imagery of the SR-71 can't be replaced. It can't be imagined any other way. And so because of that, it will probably live forever as one of the top designs and coolest aircraft ever created by the United States. That's it for today. Look forward to talking to y'all the next time.